Welcome to Time Out with Twin Possible.
So, can you miss a twin on ultrasound? I get that question a lot, and because I had an experience, I felt compelled to talk about it. You would think that's something that happens only in the way olden days, but apparently even with the genius that is of the medical age now, and the genius that all doctors believe they are now, sorry, I love some of my doctors, but some of them, you guys think you're what you think you are, and that's it. Go ahead, sue me. That's not slander, I didn't say your names. There are mistakes that are made. We're all human, but we look to our doctors like they're gods, like they know more than everybody, and they're really just human beings, and they make a lot of mistakes. The problem is they never fess up to them, but that's a whole nother ballgame, and again, no names. Anyway, and everyone said, did you ditch your doctor after this? And I have to say, no, I'm still seeing that doctor, and I said, I'm going to see him this week. I'm not pregnant, but I still see the doctor. Anyway, I'm a very forgiving soul, but, I'd like some, sorry, we made a mistake. You don't get that. You just don't get it. Because there's been like 4 or 5 incidents where I should have heard it, didn't hear it. Okay, but regardless. Does it happen? Yes, it can happen. Is it common? I'm a very uncommon person, so really, honestly, in today's day and age, it's uncommon to a point where it's not usual. But nothing is impossible. So if you have a feeling that something isn't right and your gut is telling you something different, by all means, go seek a second, third opinion, go to another doctor, go to another ultrasound place, get things checked out. I mean, some people just feel in their gut they're having twins before an ultrasound, and they go and they find out, no, it's one, and they're saying, no. That's a different story. That's just like hoping for twins or something like that, which, honestly, I don't get why people hope for them. I mean, I love mine, but, to wish for that, it's a lot. But can a doctor miss twins? Yes, it can happen. And so if there's any doubt in your mind as to what I'm about to tell you, if a story similar to this has happened to you, a friend, a family member, then, do definitely tell them to go get checked someplace else. I was in the I went to a reproductive endocrinologist, and I had 2 heartbeats, 2 sacs, equal in size. With my daughter, there was one that was small that just appeared out of the woodwork at the second ultrasound scan, which scared us to death, and never developed. So that was a vanished twin pregnancy, and it still was visible in ultrasound for quite a while before my daughter grew, and then it became apparent as it reabsorbed into my body. I didn't miscarry, but I could have, but I didn't. And with this time, I went to the reproductive endocrinologist, and everything was perfectly on. And 1 week, 7 days later, I went to my regular OB/GYN. And I thought it'd be cool because, I've known him, for 9 years, well now, almost 10, but at the time, almost 5 years, 4.5 years. And, I thought it'd be cool for him to figure this out by himself. So I didn't say anything about them being twins, and I just let him go and check for himself. And he goes, oh, look, and he starts measuring. And I'm looking at my husband. And I'm like, when is he going to, start laughing? Because I'm the comical type. I get him, That's why he goes, oh, I want you always pregnant. You're hysterical. Come in all the time. If I could do that for you, doctor, I would. And I get that from everyone. Well, why don't I just keep you pregnant? No, I don't get that from the hubby. But he kept, doing his thing and checking it, and he starts to pull it out, and I go, it's twins, because I thought he was pulling a prank on me. He goes, no. He goes, there's one baby in there. And then he just doesn't really look. He just, starts to move the probe out, and he starts laughing, and I'm going, no. I said, there's 2 babies. I'm having twins. I was just messing with you. I said, I'm having twins. I wanted you to see for yourself. I saw the babies and both their heartbeats last week, and they both were perfect at 6 weeks, I think 4 or 5 days. And this was close to 8 weeks or 7.5 weeks, whatever it was. It was like a week later, and I go, so, what, what do you say? And he's like, you have one baby. He goes, it had to have absorbed, and you have one baby now. And I'm going, what are you thinking when it's you versus, he was in there, and it's him, like, he's about, sorry doctor, but maybe 60 now, so maybe he was like 55, 56, 57, something like that, I'm guessing. And, he had about 35 years of bringing kids into the world. He delivered about 200 sets of twins, 150 sets of, something like that, almost 200 sets of twins, he told me, something like that. Okay, so how can he miss that, right? So I'm thinking to myself, oh, so this is another vanished twin pregnancy? And he goes, yeah, that must be what it is, because I only see one, there's only one. I said, do you want to take another peek? He goes, no. Because I'm kind of like, huh? And I thought, maybe, me and my husband kind of thought maybe we saw like a beginning of a sac on the top part of the ultrasound, but we don't say anything. But I have a picture of the ultrasound from that time, and that's just baby A. And there is no baby B, it's just one baby, and that's all we got pictures of that time. So I left that office feeling quite dumbfounded, but he assured me, this is better for you, there's less risks to you, you're not going to have to worry about, so much about preterm labor and all the extra, possible complications with the twin pregnancy. And I just walked out of there like a deer in the headlights, because I'm going, how could a baby that popped up at like 7 weeks, like in just a little sack, stick around for like over, like to almost 16 weeks before I could not see anything, like 14 and a half to 16 weeks before I couldn't see a sack, but yet a baby in heartbeat, poof, in 7 days just vanishes. Didn't make sense. It just made no real sense. Me and my husband just kind of like, I remember with my daughter when we had the vanished twin, it's like I didn't see a heartbeat. It was like God was just saying, you're just not meant for twins, you're meant for one at a time. And we're thinking at our ages, and like I was 29 now, but my husband was 14 years older, and we're just like, oh, okay, this is just not meant for us. So God just had to have his little fun 4.5 years later. Thanks God now. I thank you, but it's a challenge. But it would have, you always say, well, if the first one just would have been twins, it would have been just like, whatever, nothing ever happens on accident. You don't regret any of your kids. But I just had this different feeling than I did the first time. I just felt like that couldn't be possible, that something could disappear that fast. So, but the guy was 100%. There was like nothing like making him go back in or look, like after I said it, there was nothing. So, just very bizarre, right? So I sat there, and a couple of days went by, and I went on my message board, and I started, bringing it up, and everyone said that sounded really weird, but wished me, like, condolences. And I just figured this time was God saying also, it's not meant to be. But at the same time, I had this weird feeling in the back of my head that something wasn't right, too. But then again, I'm putting my experience versus a seasoned doctor and OBGYN here, and, like, he knows what he's doing. But like I said before, they're not all gods. And I remember I had this irking in myself to go get it checked out. And I didn't have a lot of money available at the time, and I, was looking around at places that might just do a freebie, and that wasn't happening. So I found a day that he wasn't going to be in the office, and I scheduled an appointment to come in and said I had a cramp. I'm not telling you to go lie, but in a multiple pregnancy, if you say you have a pain, they're going to take you in and bill your insurance. If you want to get me for insurance fraud, okay. But you know what? You won't blame me for this one, because according to him, I wasn't going to see him for another month plus till my 12-week NT scan, where they check the fold on the back of the neck to make sure, like for Down syndrome and stuff like that. Could you imagine my shock waiting another month or more to go in there and find out that suddenly, poof, it was... I would love to have seen the look on his face in hindsight, only, having known and maybe kept it shut and just laughed. But I did go into that office. I knew that he was going to find out, but I knew he wasn't there. But I just wanted my insurance to cover it. And yeah, okay, I said I had a cramp, whatever. I got in. But I had to do it. I had to, and I didn't have $300-400 for an ultrasound at the time, so what am I going to do? So I go in there, and they start, you know, probing around, and they're like, your twins are perfectly healthy. It came up on the big screen there, and they're measuring, and heartbeats of me and my husband's jaws are just like here. Like they had no clue what he even wrote in the report there, that I was having a single baby. So, like, they didn't even look, and I'm like, and I go, well, doctor said I'm having one baby. At the end, when I was wiping off the gel, getting myself ready, I go, doctor said I'm having one. She walks out of the room, but comes back. You're having healthy twins, and here are the pictures and everything to divert my attention like I'm an idiot, right? You know, totally negating everything. And then I walk out, I sit down, because they told me, oh, I'm going to see a different doctor for a thing for the cramp, you know, to get checked out, to make sure everything was good down there. And I'm sitting there, and he happens into the office. My doctor, who's off that day. Oh my freaking God, I could have freaking died. Now, a normal woman would get up and say, and did he deserve it? Freaking yeah. Okay, alright, he deserved it. That's a big freaking foul up. And I was upset, and I was like freaking nerve-wracked and everything. And my husband too. But I mean, like, you know, like I told you, I'm very forgiving. Very forgiving. My mother is, I always thought I was adopted because my parents are nothing like me. But, you know, like, at the time, I, like, freaking was so mad, but I just don't have that kind of in me. I'm just, like, a really nice person. And, like, he came in, he waved to me, and I'm like, and he walked behind there, and then he comes back out and he goes, so the twins are doing good. I told you it was twin. And he walks away. And I'm going to my husband, I go, how the heck could he do that after a couple days before telling me that I had one baby? Because a doctor will never, ever, just like the one that just vaccinated my Allie twice. Do these babies look identical to you? Okay. This doctor, a seasoned doctor, also in his 60s, I've known him for about 10 years. This guy has been on the ball forever. He double vaccinated Alessandra, thinking he vaccinated both of my twins. We're not the doctors. We don't know what he's doing. He jabbed us so fast. Doctors. And his excuse was ridiculous. But that's not what this is about. It's just the fact that they just can't admit they're wrong. So he just said, I told you, it's twins. I'm glad, congratulations. I'm so happy. Yeah, go make sure everything's okay. This is wonderful. Meanwhile, he had just said, oh, so many less complications. You're glad. This is good that this, you know, is this way. Never, ever brought it up. Did I get the urge? Hell yeah. And other people told me, switch doctors right away on my message board. Switch doctors. Don't even think about sticking around there. And I didn't even bring up that I stayed with the same doctor because he's not the one that delivered me, but he helped me get delivered the way I wanted to be delivered, which was, you know, my breech baby and everything vaginally. So it was a lovely birth. So I do thank him for that. But, you know, he didn't do it, but his colleague did. But it was just a messed up situation. So if that can happen, and not even like, you know, the first ultrasound, we're talking a few in. I mean, I wasn't that far along. I did go for a procedure, so I was getting early ultrasounds. So if that can happen, it can happen. But these types of things, you heard my story, usually would be caught like in the first trimester. If you were to have like a second trimester ultrasound, the chances of a baby hiding behind, that's what he tried. He said something about a baby hiding. Oh, that baby must have been hiding or something another time, and I didn't even acknowledge it. I just let it all go. Yeah, I know. Comment that I'm nuts. I know. I've heard it. You know, can a baby hide behind a baby? Yeah, it's humanly possible. But come the second trimester, if you're like your 20-week ultrasound or something, chances are like they're in there. Technology is pretty damn good nowadays. Chances are they're not going to miss something. So if you're that far along, I doubt you're pregnant with twins. Only the birth is going to tell you for 1,000% in your mind and in physical reality, but chances are highly against it. You might be that one in a million, billion, whatever it is. But early on, can it be missed much easier? Obviously. Ta-da! Yes, it can, because I am the proof of that. But is it more likely to not be missed? Nowadays, yes. Is it more likely to not? Yeah, that's what I said. Doey! Not likely. Yes, okay. Is it more likely to not be missed than to be missed? Heck yeah. Okay? I think I said that. Alright. Okay, so it is much more likely that you are getting told the right thing, even in the first trimester when it's early, than the wrong thing, despite maybe your feelings. But then again, if you need that little double ounce of, assurance, go ahead and get that, that second opinion, because nothing is impossible. And so if it wasn't for my little thoughts there and what I felt was right, if it was a normal pregnancy and I didn't go to anybody before that, I wouldn't have known until 12 weeks, and I would have just kicked my foot up with the stirrup in it and just broke it off the freaking table and kicked him in the head. That sounded kind of violent, didn't it? I'm just kidding. But anyway, no. Seriously, though, it can happen, but it's very unlikely. But do trust your gut and get another opinion, because it doesn't, peace of mind doesn't cost you anything, really. It's better to know than not to know. And that's just my story, so it is possible. And like I said, the further along you are, the less likely it is to happen. And, some people just really want twins for whatever reason that is, and they just really want it. And they might think that, so, just see your doctor, and usually you can trust in what they say. But they're not perfect. They do make mistakes. So that's it. Ta-da! So if you didn't read my blog post on that from 100 years ago, then you just heard it now. Thank you for taking time out with me, Shelly, at Twin Possible, where anything is possible if you put your mind, your body, and your soul into it.